Hi everyone, my name is Alina, and today I'm going to be talking about a specific youth program that I found. So first, what I wanted to do was kind of travel back in time and take us back to when we were first learning about the criminological theories in our class books. And one of the main ones was social disorganization theory. And I found a peer-reviewed article by Gass et al., written in 2016. Hopefully I'm saying their name right. Who these authors, they believe that this theory specifically is a very large reason as to why deviant behaviors such as violence and crime in youth of color seem to occur so strongly and on a large mass scale. Especially since you bring in the themes of socioeconomic disadvantages and then residential volatility, which really disrupts these children, teenagers, young adults from having social bonds with their parents or parental figures, their teachers at school, and then also other children. It speaks to the lack of oversight that they may have, and then also just community involvement. Posit that this is why there's such a disproportionate amount of youth of color in the criminal justice system. The program that I chose, though, let's get on to that, is called the Promotor Pathways, which was first started by the Latin American Youth Center in DC in 2008. And their primary focus is to help serve immigrant youth, especially Latinos and Latinas, and also juveniles of color. And they accept teens from ages 16 to young adults to 22, and then they age out of the program at 24. The program aims to facilitate a relationship between an adult, who is referred to as a promoter, and they're meant to act as like a stabilizing, grounding force for these kids, just someone that they can go to and rely on and to build a very steady relationship with, especially if these kids don't have anybody else like that in their life. It's quite the important thing. So this program specifically has three main objectives. They want to help the children find employment success, also academic achievements, and then also healthy behaviors such as coping with trauma, and also leading a productive adult life. One really interesting facet of this program is that it was actually based on a 2006 theory of youth mentoring, which was formulated, made popular, created by a lady named Jean E. Rhodes. And Rhodes believes that this is only effective, mentoring is only effective when strong, close bonds are formed between the mentor and mentee. So that's really what Promoter Pathways really believes in and what they really push. Alrighty, so allow me to tell you just a little bit more about the Promoter. And the Promoter is directly employed through the Latin American Youth Center, and their only job is to be the promoter. They have no other duties, so they can inherently focus all of their intention on their mentees. Also go through a 30-hour mandated training, and this also involves like crisis management and other very good tools for them to have in their back pocket, so to speak, if they run into any volatile situations with the kids that they're mentoring. So another really cool facet is that these relationships between the mentors and the mentees, they last on average 4 to 6 years. So these kids really get to have a stabilizing force in their life, and they have someone to rely on, which I just thought was awesome. Alrighty, so as for funding, this program is funded through the U.S. government, and it's funded through U.S. AmeriCorps using the SIF, which is short for the Social Innovation Fund, which was actually originally started by President Obama back in 2008. This is a government-funded program. There has been several studies to back up its efficacy and that it works in real time and in application, not just in theory. So there has been one study that I would like to cite. It was by Theodis et al. In 2016, in which they found that over 14% of juveniles in the program over the control group attended school. So there was a 14% increase, which is not anything to scoff at. I thought that's pretty significant. And the study also indicated that the higher number of meetings that the promoter had with female mentees, the lower the pregnancy rate was, and it also increased housing stability. However, I would be remiss if I did not mention the downsides or perhaps the things that kind of fell by the wayside or didn't really see any improvement, which was they were unable to see any positive difference in drug use, delinquency, or employment. So that could be indicative of some holes in the programming or perhaps some kind of additional training that the promoters need to have in order to effectively address these issues with these kids. But even so, the success was shown within the DC metro area. There are several locations and several schools that they work with within that area, and it's also expanded to other inner cities within the US, including the state of Maryland. Would like to quickly refer back to the youth mentor theory that I originally spoke about, in which Rose draws the conclusion that for the program to be successful, for a mentorship program overall to be very successful, there needs to be policies instituted to demand adherence to evidence-based practices. So there needs to be pretty strong oversight over these mentors to make sure that they're sticking to the programming, that everything's followed to a T in order to keep up continuity and to give these kids really the stability that they need. She made sure to mention that evaluations need to be done on a regular basis of these mentors, just so they stay on track, so to speak. Doing my research, was unable to find any guidelines or any evaluations that the promoters go through after they go through their initial training. So I would suggest that this would be something that they would institute. It's very important, especially when you're working directly with the youth and they rely on you so strongly to be such a guiding force. You want to make sure that all the bases are covered. I also believe a 30-hour training does not seem like it would cover everything. It seems like an inadequate amount of time. If it was a 30-hour training and they had perhaps a psychology degree to also lean upon or a social work degree to also lean upon, then I would understand that yes, fine, a 30-hour training would be sufficient. However, there are no educational guidelines for the promoters to become a promoter, so that is a bit iffy. And I think also hailing back to the education, the self-efficacy, and the employment, since those kind of fell by the wayside during the study that I cited, perhaps those need to also be addressed in further additional training for the promoters. Able to find all this information online through the Latin American Youth Center's website. They have a very in-depth overview of the Promoter Pathways program, and I was also able to find the funding information through the U.S. government's Social Innovation Fund website. And also they provided the studies that I also used within this presentation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my presentation, and I look forward to seeing everybody else's. All right, bye. Have a good one.